watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
I'll begin with the roll call. Scott Self, that's me, I'm here.
Recording in progress.
Richard Lane.
Here.
Jane Johnson.
Here.
Brandon Self.
Here.
Michael York.
Here.
Victoria Ames.
Here.
Selectman's Rep Sly Karazinski.
Here.
And alternate Steve Malone.
Here.
Alternate Michael Scungio. And alternate Brian Vertigal. And they aren't here, so we have a full board, so we won't be seeing Steve tonight, but it's good that he came. Anyway, so tonight's agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from December 14th meeting. And under applications and public hearings, we have a planning board number 23-029. That's a boundary line adjustment that's Fieldstone Land Consultants on behalf of Benjamin Steiner, Clyde Keene Jr, and Carol Cooper requests a boundary line adjustment at properties located along Westport Village Road. Subject properties are currently shown at tax map 246, lot 73 and 74 in the residential district. Item B, planning board number 23-032, that's a site plan review modification. That's, I think it's Alpesh Patel, requests a site plan review modification for his property located at 56 Monadnock Highway for plans to construct an approximately 640 square foot addition to the existing residential dwelling / office for the Coach House Motel business. Subject property is located in the business district and is shown at tax map 102, lot 15. And under other discussions, we have proposed 2024 amendments to the Swanzey zoning ordinance. That's just one amendment we'll be talking about tonight. And any other business as may be required. So back to the top there, I'll see if we have any regional impact in any of the items on our agenda. And if there's no,
we do not.
Thank you. Motion by Michael York that nothing on tonight's agenda makes us notify any surrounding towns, regional impact. Seconded by Richard Lane. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And we have approval of the minutes of December 14th, 2023. We have a motion for approval of those minutes. Okay, a motion by Richard, seconded by Jane. Is there any further discussion as to any changes or modifications or anything to the minutes? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That's a wrap. So now it's our first item, which is planning board number 23-029, and that's the boundary line adjustment, Fieldstone Land Consultants, and I don't see them here tonight.
So I am Benjamin
Well, you're,
Steiner.
okay.
I'm going to put the application in.
Okay, we'll pull it through. Fieldstone Land Consultants on behalf of Benjamin Steiner, Clyde Keene Jr, and Carol Cooper request a boundary line adjustment at properties located along Westport Village Road. Subject properties are currently shown at tax map 246, lot 73 and 74 in the residential district. And I will open up the public hearing and let's see what we're doing here. Do we have a map of, do we have the?
None involved, just one in the packet.
You have one just in the packet there? Okay. Oh yeah, and you're representing, what is your name please for the
My name
record?
is Benjamin Steiner.
Oh, thank
Benjamin
you.
Steiner, okay, you're one of the
Thank you.
So, okay, what's your? So it looks like what they're doing is you're annexing some property from lot 31.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're doing? And it looks like in our drawing anyways, it's going to lot 33.
Yes.
So is that 90 feet of frontage in front of there? How come we don't have a drawing for that?
I included 3 full-size prints with the
Can
application.
you have them with me tonight?
Could not find them before we left the office.
Okay, we'll go by these right here. And just explain it again, you're adding or not adding frontage? It looked like you were not adding frontage, right?
Not adding any frontage.
Would you just come up here and point this out, what we're doing here?
Sure. this is my lot here.
Okay,
So this pin in the front is staying. We've moved this pin over about 50 feet, so I'm adding about a tenth of an acre to my lot from
okay,
Keene's
so
lot.
that did go on an angle like that, now it's coming over like this square out.
So this shows current what it is. The pin is gonna move over this way about 50 feet.
Okay, so currently,
So
it's like that then?
these
correct?
two lines are gonna end up being almost parallel.
These two lines here?
Mhm.
But right now, your lot is on a triangle, is that what it is? Is that what you're saying?
If I could borrow your pen,
Yep, go right ahead.
we're gonna make it go just like this.
Oh, this is before, and that's after. Okay, so this is what we're doing here. Everyone has that in the packet there. So right, they're adding on this little bit right there. They're going about 50 feet that way, and this pin is remaining the same and just shooting right up to there.
What is 32? Is that the new lot?
No, that's his lot. That's an existing lot that looks just like we see it in our packet, and it's gonna have, to the left of it, it's gonna have about a 50 feet added on to that end there, and come right down to that same
That
pin in the
doesn't,
front.
that doesn't show on mine.
That's what we're doing. Well, it doesn't show on mine either, he just drew it on there. We don't have they couldn't find the plans, we don't have the plans, but this is what's going on here. And I'll confirm that before I sign the plans anyway.
I know that lot well.
You do? Okay. Thank you. So, everybody knows what
Yeah,
we're doing
I
there?
was curious, but now I get it.
You know what we're doing? It's fine. Okay, everybody, this is what we're doing there, that's adding on there.
So he's gonna end up with like 100 and something feet on the back.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit more in the back, yeah.
There's 90.
So these are not the same.
And
And
that's-
it's going to join right at the line.
They
it's going
probably
this-
aren't.
so adding 50
The
feet
request
to
probably
the
has the new
backside
lot
of the
numbers on it,
lot.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Because they just went through the GIS thing and changed all the lot numbers, so it's gonna be confusing anybody researching that stuff through some of our meetings, just because of that. So,
Get
we know
it.
what we're doing.
Do you want to pass this to Beverly, because that's the new lot numbers, if that helps her?
These are the new lot numbers, right there.
Just so you can visualize what's happening.
I put the application in, all the lot numbers were correct.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
And then it changed.
we're good. Yeah,
It's-
the lot numbers have all been changed in town because of the GIS survey, so it's just gonna be a little confusing, but everyone knows what we're talking about. So are there any other questions on this, or close the public hearing? Anybody from the public on this one? No? Then I'm going to close the public hearing. So, pretty much straightforward what he's doing, as he explained, adding some to the back of that lot, coming down to the same front pin. So, if there are no objections,
And
then,
this is coming out of 31, correct? It's coming out of 31.
yep, coming out of that lot right there, yep.
And the frontage, the 90 feet, doesn't make any difference to us, because it's non-compliant to start with.
Right, it's not changing, it's not making it more non-compliant, it's just staying the same, and the lot's getting a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So if nobody has any discussion about it, then a motion to accept the lot line adjustment would be in order.
I'll second.
Motion by Michael York to accept the lot line adjustment, seconded by Brandon Self. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is planning board number 23-032, at the site plan review modification. This is Alpesh Patel requests a site plan review modification for his property located at 56 Monadnock Highway for plans to construct an approximately 640 square foot addition to the existing residential dwelling / office for the Coach House Motel business. Subject property is located in the business district and is shown at tax map 102 lot 15. So, let's just take a look at the application here for a second. We have everything here, which is the modification. We have any drawings for this one? Do we have? No drawings here? Okay, other than the ones we have in our packet. We have some of the architecturals in the packet here.
I do have an idea if you want to look at it.
I don't know if anybody remembers, but we've been through this one before. It was on Hotel 12 there, and they just didn't do anything about it, so they're back because the time ran out. And from the packet, you can see that they're actually using the deck space as their enclosed office is what it's going to do.
Doesn't look like they changed anything.
No, so
No.
I will open up the public hearing because everything looks about the same. So any, that would be you, correct, sir? Would you like to add anything to what we have in front of us here? What you're doing is you're creating an office space there.
Residential.
His wife's been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and all the bedrooms are on the second floor. They're gonna need a bedroom on the first floor.
Okay, so that's what's gonna
First,
be, but it's still the residential personal use, it's not the rental use, okay,
Correct.
all
The
right,
office is still the same, it's gonna be a little,
okay,
it's not gonna change.
all right,
His addition is just a first floor bedroom for his family.
I got you, thank you. Bedroom, yeah. And everything stays the same, really, setbacks, doesn't affect the setbacks, outside parking, still plenty of parking there. Right, oh, Mike, yes.
They did, upon approval last time, they did file for building permit, which they did get, and they did put in the concrete piers, they did put in the proper septic as well.
Oh, yeah, I remember that septic did go in there, but they put the piers in for this as
They
well,
put
you
the
said?
piers in
Yep.
as well.
Okay, so they're doing the same thing, thank you,
Yeah.
thanks. Yep. So, any questions for the applicant from the board? And any questions from the public for the applicant or the board? No? Then I will close the public. Did you have a question? No? Okay,
I
fine.
have a point of order. Is this application already considered complete, but it was not necessary?
We didn't have a motion for it to consider complete, but there's not really an application to look at here. It's a modification to a site plan, but,
Okay.
so we
Just needed to
skipped that part of it.
understand
Thank you.
what to- Okay.
And we just open up the public hearing. If it were a regular site plan approval, we'd have to have that, because that's in our site plan regs to do that. So again, if there's no other questions from the public, then I will close the public hearing, and the public hearing is closed. Any discussion by the board? Again, straightforward, know what he's doing, he's already started to do it when he had the first approval, so.
Just to include the staff recommendation conditions in our
Yep.
approval.
Would you make that a motion then?
Sure, I would
Thank
make
you.
that.
Can I ask Mike for one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, do you have any concerns on any of this? Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion from Victoria
I'll second.
to approve the application with the following conditions, which would be shall obtain a building permit and final approval from the code enforcement officer, and the addition shall only be used for personal use by motel management and shall not be rented out as part of the motel operation. Now, let's see, lighting, no. Yeah, lighting, required to be arranged so as not to cause glare on abutting properties or adjacent public roadway. Those are the three recommendations, which are fine, and I think we had two of those in our last one anyway. So, seconded, Richard, did you second? Oh, Brandon seconded, okay, seconded by Brandon. Is there any further discussion? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Then it's approved. You can continue. Now, under discussions and other business, we're going to be discussing, it's going to be a 12th amendment to the zoning, and it's there because we forgot to discuss and add into our add into our proposals, but we did discuss it at other meetings about the density requirements for multifamily in Business District 2. It was not in our zoning. It wasn't there, so we need to replace it. We need to have something that says about the multifamily and what the density is. And when we discussed it, we had discussed having 6. I think 6 was the maximum. And I think that was about it. Now, let me get to.
Yeah, I think that was our only change that we did to that.
I'm pretty sure it was changing it to 6 and moving it under Village Business 2, because Village Business 2 did not have a density designation. So, we can discuss it here, make any changes, whatever, or we'll have one more public hearing with that one amendment on it, and then that will be added on to the other ones that we voted to put on the warrant. last week, yes.
I have a question, I'm not sure if it goes with this amendment or if it needs a separate amendment. Limiting the height of apartments. Right now, it's basically 3 stories. I'd like to see it reduced to 2.
We do
Well,
100 feet.
We did a height for Village Business 1 with this last one here. This is a whole across-the-board one you're talking about,
Yes.
which is kind of late in the game, I think, to get into that
That's what I
one.
said, I'm not sure if it
So-
belongs here or,
It would belong next year if we're gonna do it, something about it next year, but not in this year's amendments.
Unless you petition for it.
No, that's done, you can't do that anymore. I mean, the time has run out for petition. Yeah. So that's too late. Victoria brought up the fact that this says the minimum number of units for a multifamily residential dwelling in the business district shall be 3 units. And she was questioning why we should have that.
Why a minimum?
It's a good point, because multifamily starts at 3 units or more. I mean, that's considered multifamily 3 units or more, so it's kind of odd to have it, that the minimum is 3 units, because.
So we're just sort of defining that that's what multifamily is, in a sense, with that sentence?
Well, it's already defined that that's what multifamily, we don't even need it in there, I don't
Okay,
think. We
okay.
probably ought to cross it right out of there. We do have that, I think the minimum is 5 in the business district, regular business district, but
Right.
we
I'm
can
just
leave
wondering,
that.
what's the thinking, though? Why would we specify?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that's in there, but I don't think we need the 3 in there, because again, it's kind of useless, because multifamily starts when it's 3 or more.
Okay.
And we're talking about 6 when it is connected to a public sewer.
Maybe it's to clarify to the general public, because they might say, well, 2's multifamily, you know?
Yeah, well, they look in our zoning and they find out that 2 is not multifamily, it's a duplex. So they'll find out that 3 is multifamily, so.
This verbiage was pulled out of the ordinance, so in
Pardon
other
me?
districts, this is the case.
Just repeat that, I didn't get the first part of your
The
sentence.
verbiage for this
Yeah.
was pulled out of the ordinance,
Mhm.
straight out of the ordinance.
Was pulled out
So
of
this-
was pulled out of the business ordinance.
I couldn't tell you which district, but this was pulled out of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
it's
It was,
historically
and
lived in
it's-
our
and
ordinance.
it's regular, it's
Yeah.
under regular business, and it states 5 and not 3. This was not under Village 2, because Village 2 never had one in it, and it wasn't out of Village 1 either. So it was out of business district as far as I know, and that's a 5. So if you put 5, it'd make more sense than 3.
Oh,
Because
I'm
3
gonna change it
is,
to 5 as well.
no,
Or just take it out.
let's just take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll just have a public hearing, just leave that out of there, because it is kind of confusing. Well, unless people say it should stay in there, I'm just saying, it's just me, but anybody have any disagreements with that? Pull it right out of there.
How is it worded in 2020?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm looking at what it's citing here, and it's Section 5, Article C1, or excuse me,
You're in our
C1.
zoning ordinance, correct?
Yes,
That should be like page 29.
33 is what I have, unless it's, I don't know.
Yeah, probably so, yeah. It starts on 29 for section 5, starts on 29. And let's see.
Village Business 2,
Yeah, Village 2, okay.
and then going over to S, where it just says multifamily dwellings, amended March 10th, 2020. And that, apparently, this is the verbiage that was amended and approved.
No, this isn't. No, that's just as a use. That's under uses for Village 2, and it wasn't an allowable use. Uses permitted. And then it goes down A, B, C, D, and E, and it gets down to S, and S is multifamily, and that was a permitted use, but it wasn't laid out what the density was. It was never the density. It's density in all the rest of the zones, but not Village 2. So we needed to put a density in there, a limit as to how many can go in there. Otherwise, there's no limit.
Okay.
That's what this is doing for Village 2.
I thought the reason that that is in there because we changed it from 8, I believe was 8 to 6.
We changed it, well, we proposed to change it when we had the discussions this summer or late summer when we discussed that part of it, because we never had a density for Village 2. So we decided to change that, or put a density for Village 2 and change it to 6 for Village 2. It's still, let's see, in business, let's go to business and find out where that is there. District 2, right there, multifamily. And we have 12 units per acre for business. That's the density there. And I think in business, in Village 1, we had 8 right there. So,
Yes, I had a- yeah.
yeah, so we were talking about Village 1, where this whole thing came about, and we removed multifamily from Village 1. So, we're still allowing in Village 2, so we decided to move that density part of it to Village 2, because it didn't have a density, and change that 8 to 6. And so that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, probably just a point of confusion was when initially with Village Business District 1, we proposed 6 per acre. And then later through our subsequent discussion is when we took multifamily out altogether. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, where the 6 actually came in. Now, it sounds like you just want to apply that to the Village Business District 2.
We did later on when we, may have been that same meeting, but while we discussed that, because again, we needed it, but we never had a density for Village 2. And you have to have a density in there, otherwise you can go whatever you want to do. So somehow it was left out of Village 2.
Yeah.
And all this time. So we decided since we're taking multifamily out of Village 1, we'd move that density thing down to Village 2 and use 6 rather than 8. Yes?
So my question from my chair is, it's all about density. So it doesn't matter if it's multifamily or 3 duplexes. So it's one single building of 6, or if it's 3 duplexes, it's all the same to the planning board?
Let's see.
You're using the word multifamily, which suggests it's only if they're attached. But what if there are 3 duplexes or 6 singles?
We go by units, so we aren't saying whether they're attached or not. Generally,
Okay. I want to just clarify that.
yep, and let me just double check to see if that's in here, because that's what we generally go by, are units. And the paragraph that we're moving down, and moved it again, business, we're using the one right there. And yeah, we're using, because we talk about, I'm reading from the one in page 30 in ours. And this is the multifamily density from Village 1, and this is when we're moving to Village 2. And I'll just read the whole thing. Multifamily dwellings, the density requirement for a multifamily dwelling shall be 1 acre for the first dwelling unit and 1/2 acre for each additional dwelling unit, unless connected to a public sewer. The maximum density permitted for a multifamily dwelling connected to public sewer shall be 8 units, and we're changing it to 6 per acre. So that's how it'll read.
But it's still suggesting it's multifamily, which means they're attached.
It says units, it says nothing about being attached.
No, but you use the word
The last sentence I said?
uses the word multifamily, which means they're attached.
Oh, okay, you're saying the definition of multifamily is that they're attached.
Absolutely, I mean, it is a definition, so
Yeah.
you were right in the very beginning, I agree, the code agrees as well. 3 or more, multifamily, 1 and 2 are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to ascertain, if somebody comes into me with an idea, and I say you gotta have a minimum of 5, does that mean they have to be attached? That's what multifamily says, they have to be attached. Or at least that's what the ordinance says, it keeps referring to multifamily, it doesn't refer to dwelling units. So if it's dwelling units that you're speaking of, then I would suggest maybe considering use of the words dwelling units versus multifamily. Multifamily means 3 or more attached,
Mm-hmm.
to me.
In our entire ordinance, we use units as the unit, as to how many can be in there, whether they're attached or not. So
Right.
you're saying that maybe we ought to clarify that.
Well, I'm just
At
saying,
some point.
when you read that, the word multifamily keeps being used over and over again. For me, suggesting that the only option I have in this unit, on this piece of land is for attached multifamily. The reason this always comes up is this, there's a topography, there's other things, it's about sprinklers. Right? 1 and 2 family, no sprinklers, 3 or more sprinklers. So that's always the discussion point of how do I make this thing more affordable? Well, I separate them so I don't have to have sprinklers.
Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, the density would still apply whether they're attached or not, because we're talking about, again, it says the density requirement for a multifamily dwelling shall be 1 acre for the first dwelling unit and 1/2 acre for for each additional dwelling unit. So that doesn't say that they have to be attached, but that does specify each dwelling unit. And I wouldn't say that means that a dwelling unit is like a three-family. If a dwelling unit is a dwelling unit. So,
I'm perfectly happy with your interpretation of it, but for me, the one unit and then thereafter is just it's a mathematical equation to figure out how many I can put together on one thing, because again, we're using the word multifamily. I just think that could be problematic. You and me right now, we agree, that's great, but we're probably not always gonna be here.
well,
I don't expect.
maybe we ought to look at it, maybe we ought to look at it that we're giving them the option. They can either have them attached or not.
Which is totally fine too.
Yep.
Is 2-hour firewall a separation, or is the new code that has to be something more than that?
Well, you can get fire protection engineers that'll still do not for like 32 unit jobs down there. They've got two different systems that they're using, which do include a firewall. They're still using sprinklers. It's just how much sprinklers.
But what I'm wondering, asking is, you know, could you have a foot between buildings? And then they would say that they're separated.
I'd have to check code. I mean, I know between, like, say, a detached garage and a house that's 3 feet, I couldn't imagine it would be any less than that, but I'd have to look and see what it is.
You know, I think the dwelling units covers it on our end, but I understand what you're saying. I just don't know
I
how
think
we
it
can
covers-
fix it.
I don't know if we need to fix it, you know, it does seem to cover it on our end, and it looks like it boils down to whether they're separate or whether they're attached is the fire part of it, safety part of it, and not really the planning part of it there.
Totally fine.
Yes,
It
Steve?
sounds like you're suggesting a definition of the words multifamily.
We already have that. It's 3 units or more. That's a multifamily. It doesn't say attached or not, 3 units or more is
Well,
multifamily.
perhaps that should be clarified, whether it's attached.
Perhaps not, you know?
Okay.
Yes,
So I have 2 comments. One is, if you have multiple units, wouldn't you then need more than a half acre? Like, doesn't the fact that you're putting more buildings on this lot?
when it comes to setbacks and things like that, I think is what you're getting to, isn't it? Yeah. Will they fit or not, is what you're saying. Well,
That's a whole different issue.
that's another thing, if they have the option to attach them or not, if they have the room to place them separately and they want to do that, they probably can, but if they don't have the room, then they got the option to attach them and still meet the setbacks, the way I would
Well,
see it.
and then my next question, to keep everybody happy, would it be as simple as saying multi-family dwelling with a little parentheses, S parentheses, so you're implying that there could be more than one
We do have that,
building?
That's what
we
it
do have
says.
that in there, yeah.
So doesn't that kind of cover it? Like you're implying that it might be
Yeah.
more than one building?
No, that's what we're saying, I think we're covered for right now.
Yeah, I think Mike's point is valid, and maybe it's just a simple sentence to say that the maximum density is six units per acre.
That's what we've said.
Yeah.
See, we aren't specifying whether they're attached or not.
But
They-
multifamily in that same sentence, and that's where it gets where, I understand, I'm glad you guys are in agreement, but I understand this, the point he's making as well.
Yeah, we get Mike's point.
It's just a point of clarity.
But, you know, we gotta make Mike earn his money there, so make it difficult for him
I
sometimes.
just always like to see everything kind of work together. And if a builder sees multifamily, I mean, you know, I would see that way with him. Hopefully he sees it and understands it means, but for you guys, it means 3 dwelling units on one property. Him, it means 3 units attached.
And
And that's just, I mean, that's code
that's what it
definition
means to them,
versus
yeah.
Swanzey planning board definition.
Well, they can always come in and get clarification from the planning board.
Yeah,
and
yeah, absolutely.
Planning board can always change it another year or something. So let's see, get back to what we're talking about there. Are we going to scratch the minimum off of there? I think we
I think
probably
we should. It's
Yeah.
just extra words.
Pardon me?
I already did it.
You already did, okay. Okay, we scratched the minimum.
You want to scratch
Scratch
the last sentence?
The
on
last
it.
sentence that talks about the minimums on
Got
there,
it.
minimum 3 units, and we're going to leave it at the 6 then, correct? Yep. Okay, so,
Okay, so a dwelling, the first dwelling on there can be 6 continuous apartments.
it could be if they are attached, yeah, that's what Mike was
Yes.
talking about.
But after that, you have to have, for any other building, you have to have an additional half acre to go with it. So if you separate the first building from the second one, where are we technically? Is that?
You talking about setbacks again? Is that what we're back to?
Setbacks or the minimum lot size.
Still residential units.
No,
So if you have a
resi-
4-unit building and a 2-unit building, that's all you can have on 1 acre,
Yeah, it's,
if you can fit it.
So the configuration is irrelevant, it's just extreme. How they do them is irrelevant, as
Yeah.
long as they're in setbacks and the height's within place, 221, 44, I mean, 42, I mean, it's 6 trees, that's what, that's down here.
yeah, what he said. So, that sound like we can go to public hearing with that 12th Amendment? Okay, because we have time for one more, and it should be on the docket this year, so, I don't know. So we can, we don't get into trouble with no density at all for Village 2.
For the next meeting, we're gonna be kind of tied up, aren't we? Possibly.
This is a small one. I mean, it looks small, but we did discuss it like for half an hour here, but still, you know, it's a small one. I think we need to have it on there, definitely, public hearing there. Okay, so, we need a motion then.
So
To
moved.
put, a motion by Victoria to put Amendment 12 as modified on for public hearing at our next meeting, and I don't recall what the date is, but at our
The
next.
11th, I think.
On the 11th, okay, on January 11th. Do we have a motion for that? Oh, was that your motion?
Yes,
Did
that was my
somebody
motion.
second that? Nobody seconded that? Okay, Jane seconded that. Okay, is there any further discussion? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that's taken care of. Any other business as may be required? Nothing else? I think we've got it all?
So, we're on other business now?
Yeah, other business.
Just something to think about. Meetings in November for this coming year and December. December 2nd meeting is the day after Christmas on the calendar.
Oh, is
Do
it?
we want to do like back-to-back both in November and December? So that we get them in, so we don't get piled up.
And back-to-back meaning what exactly? Back-to-back?
Thursdays, back-to-back Thursdays.
Oh, okay, two weeks in a row,
Yes.
like the second and third or whatever it is. Yeah, we probably ought to do something like that for both of them. We have done that before. We can wait, we can keep it in mind, but we can wait until we get closer to those times, because sometimes there's not much on the agenda and we don't have to do that. So, like a meeting or 2 meetings before, we'll know what's gonna be on the agenda for that one, and the planning board can vote to have a meeting the very next week or back-to-back, like you just said there.
Yeah, it
So,
would depend on what we had on the agenda. If we had something that had to be taken care of, but it looks empty, why have it?
but if we do that,
We need, what, 3 weeks lead time for them to post or to submit an application
you know,
to come up on the meeting?
we'll know that's what I'm saying, we'll know like 3 weeks, if it is 3 weeks, sometimes it's more than that, they give us in advance what's coming up on that agenda.
We'd know in like September, October, if,
What's coming up, and then we could schedule the meeting to whatever works out for everyone, whether it's the very next week or the very last day or whatever, or a different day, actually, we could do it on a different day if we wanted to. So, if we do that, let's see, we can either not schedule the meeting for Thanksgiving Day, which we probably never do anyway, and not schedule a meeting for that one in December and wait and see. Or, I think we ought to go ahead and schedule the meeting for December, leave the Thanksgiving one alone, because we never do that one. Schedule the December one, and then if it looks like we're getting something, we can just change it when we know what's coming on the agenda, because we may just cancel that meeting if there's nothing coming up. I think anyways, anybody else. So that's for our schedules we're talking about, for the scheduling for next November and next December. So we could schedule the December meeting and not schedule the one for November. And if something's coming up, we'll know about it in October, and we can schedule a meeting for that.
Do you want me to change the calendar, or do you want to just wait and see?
Oh, you have calendars there? We'll just cross them out, or we'll just write them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
it's this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have one, I don't think so.
Oh, well,
I'll just get one from you. No, I didn't, well, this is the packet that I got from your office. It probably wasn't in. I stopped by your office, I know, Monday or something like that. Thank you. Okay, we'll use that.
Stefan, what's on the agenda for the 11th, do you know yet?
Yeah, there is a multi-tenant for a multi-tenant for like a dog training facility,
Mm-hmm.
and
Maybe Base Hill Road, maybe.
possibly, hopefully. I think that's about it, honestly.
We have an opportunity for February 29th meeting if you want.
Yeah, there we are, right there.
Happen every year.
Who doesn't? Any other business anybody can think of? If not, motion for adjournment would be in order.
So move.
Motion by Michael York to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Richard Lane. Is there any further discussion?